So example 2 for solving these absolute value equations, example 3, we want to solve 3 times the absolute value of 2x minus 1 equals 45. Now remember, this absolute value is keeping everything on the inside together, and whatever is inside the absolute value isn't going to change. So we're trying to get the absolute value bars by itself first. So I want to divide both sides by 3, because that 3 is being multiplied. So the 3 and the 3 will reduce to 1. So I'm going to be left with the absolute value of 2x minus 1 equals 45 divided by 3 is going to give me 15. Okay, so now my absolute value bars are by themselves, so I'm going to take them down. But remember, this inside won't change. So this whole thing is going to stay 2x minus 1 equals 15. But we also want to know what happens when that 2x minus 1 is equal to negative 15. So we have 2 equations here. So to solve this, remember, I'm doing order of operations backwards. So I need to get rid of addition and subtraction first. So I add 1 to both sides. That's going to give me 2x equals 16. When I do it to this side, that gives me 2x equal to negative 14. Divide both sides by 2. So I get x equals 8. Divide both sides by 2 here. And I get x equals negative 7. So my 2 answers are positive 8 and negative 7. For example 4, we're a little bit more complicated. We have 7 minus 3 times 3x minus 6 equals 14. Now, a lot of times, remember, we want to distribute that 3 because that's what we do with parentheses, but that's just going to make more work for us later, and it actually will triple the size of that absolute value, which we don't really want right now. So we're going to just get the absolute value bars by itself by adding, subtracting, multiplying, or dividing. So I need to get rid of whatever's being added or subtracted first, which is actually this positive 7. So I'm going to subtract 7 from both sides. 7 minus 7 gives me 0. So this negative 3 is going to stay negative 3 times absolute value of 3x minus 6 equals 14 minus 7 gives me positive 7. So I'm not totally done yet. I need to divide both sides by negative 3. The negative 3 is reduced, so I will be left with absolute value of 3x minus 6 equals negative 7 over 3. Now I'm going to stop here because I notice I have absolute value equal to a negative. So I can't go any further. This will never happen because I can never get absolute value equal to a negative. So my answer is no solution. So for the last one, example 5, we have some fractions going on. So in this example, I have 2/3 equals the absolute value of 2x minus 1. Absolute value is actually already by itself. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take them down. So I'm going to set it equal to positive 2/3. And I'm going to set it equal to negative 2/3 equals 2x minus 1. So I have the whole inside here exactly the same as it's shown, equal to the positive and equal to the negative. So to solve for x, I'm going to add 1 to both sides. Negative 1 plus 1 cancels and gives me 0. Now I'm going to do a little bit of scratch work on the side. Right here I have 2/3 plus 1. Now this is a fraction and this one isn't. And if we set it equal to 1 and 2/3, that's really not going to help us much. So we actually want to get everything into a fraction. So 1 is the same as 1 over 1. And to get a common denominator, I need to multiply the 1's top and bottom by 3. So that's going to give me 2 over 3 plus 3 over 3. This is a little bit easier for me to work with. I keep the denominator 3 and I add the numerators. 2 plus 3 gives me 5. So over here I have 5/3 equals 2x. And I'm going to do the same thing over here. So I add 1 to both sides. Those ones cancel. And over here, this is the same as negative 2/3 plus, and we already know that 1 is the same as 3 over 3, so plus 3 over 3, which gives me over 3. Negative 2 plus 3 is positive 1. So we have 1/3 equals 2x. Okay, so we have 2 equations. We're still not done yet. We need to divide both sides by 2. So I'm going to divide both sides by 2. Those 2's on the right are going to reduce. But I'm going to come back over here and do a little bit more scratch work. So I have 5/3, and I'm actually going to rewrite this as 5/3 divided by 2 because it's a little bit easier for us to see. Now dividing anything is the same as multiplying by its reciprocal. So this is actually the same as multiplying 5/3 times the reciprocal of 2 over 1, which is 1/2. Now for multiplication, I just multiply straight across. So 5 times 1 gives me 5, and 3 times 2 gives me 6. So I'm going to get x equals 5 over 6 as one of my answers. And I'm going to do the same thing on the right-hand side. Divide both sides by 2. Cancel. And this is 1/3 divided by 2, which is the same as 1/3 times 1/2. So that's equal to 1/6. So my 2 answers here are 5 over 6 and 1 over 6.